Greetings! Today we'll look at how to fix reflections in some reflective surfaces. We'll be using this decanter that I shot for a catalog recently. As you can see, there are a couple of reflections in the decanter. We'll look at a couple ways to fix that. First off, we can use the spot healing brush, and in a case like this, it's pretty straightforward. We just go in and brush it out, and our reflections there are gone. Another way to do it is to use the brush tool because this is a pretty even surface. I can option click an area that's similar in tone. Just go in and brush these out. Oftentimes though, you'll have a reflection that's not going to be as easy to fix as that. If you look at the type here, you can see where there are a couple of reflections that are actually in the type. Now, if I use the healing brush here, and there's a couple places that I can maybe try to get in really close and fix, but you can see how it's taking some of the type away as well. And if I use the brush tool, the same type of thing will happen. I can get in really close here and try to knock some of this out, but once again, some of the places are going to be hard to try to fix. An easier way to do this would be to use the brush tool, but instead of using the normal, we're going to change the mode. We're going to go to darken. Now what this is going to do is if I take a sample from here, anything that is lighter than that is going to be darkened. Anything that is darker than that is not going to be touched at all. So now that I've got it in the darken mode, I can go in and in one easy swoop, I can take care of that entire area. Now they also have the ability, if you need to do the reverse, say there's a place that's dark and you need to bring it brighter, you can go in and use the lighten. To show you an example of how to use the lighten mode, I still have this light gray selected here. What I will do, say if I want to reduce this but I want to keep the rest of the tones, by using the lighten I can go all the way out here to the white and just start wiping back and forth. And I still have my edge of the bottle right here, but I'm getting rid of the darker areas. It's not affecting these lighter areas. When you use the lighten modes, everything that is darker than the tone I picked gets brighter. All right, let's look at it overall now. I think it needs a little bit more contrast, so an easy thing to do would be to bring up the curves. I'm going to command click on this area of the decanter because I want that a little bit brighter. I'll click on this area of the glass because if I make that a little bit darker, it'll add a little bit more pop. So I'll go into curves, I'll drag this down. You can see how it's getting into this a little bit darker, and you can see how now it's bringing a little lighter. So if we go to the preview, you can see where it's adding just a little bit more pop. I think that's pretty good. The one part of the place that concerns me though still is this type. I really wasn't able to bring up the type as well as I was hoping. So what I can do is I'll go in and I'm going to make a broad selection around this. Oftentimes what happens when you start pushing contrast is you can get a little bit of artifacting. So instead of having this feather of 1, I'm going to go into the select and mask and I'm going to soften the edge of this selection. I've got it at about 20. You can see where that's fairly soft. That will give me a little bit of a transition. I'll click OK. And now what we'll do is we'll use the curves again. I'm going to select this area right beside the type, and then I'll go in and actually select the type here. So you can see they're fairly close to each other, and I have to be careful that I don't pull it down too much. So I'll grab the type, I'll pull it down, and you can see where it's starting to increase the contrast. It's actually darkening that type. That looks pretty good. You can see what I have done here. That was before, that's the after. I'll deselect. And so you can see now how we've made everything pop just a little bit more. This is the before. You can see how it's kind of flat. We have the reflections, and this is the after. A little bit more pop, cleaned up everything, looks like it's good to go. Hopefully that helped. More to come.